All right, so in this week's episode of the Air with Brian Gregoire interview series, I was blessed to sit down and have a conversation with David Moore, who is the VP of Ticket Operations at Tamar Sales, as well as the General Manager of Ticket Sales and Operations at Samford University, which is in Birmingham, right up the road from here in Tuscaloosa. David is a 2017 graduate of the University of Alabama Sport Management Master's Program as well, and he paid it forward for that program by coming and talking to one of our classes back in the fall semester. I'm currently enrolled in that program right now. David is a great person to be around. He has a lot of experience in the sports industry, and he's very transparent about his experience in the industry, and he shares that in this episode. So, if you're looking to get involved in the sports industry or just sustaining your career, this is a great episode for you to listen to because David really speaks on the truth of what it's like to work in the sports industry. So, I hope you enjoy the conversation that him and I have, and thank you for watching. All right, so welcome back, everybody. I am blessed today to be in the presence of David Moore, who is the Vice President of Ticket Operations at Tamar Sales, and he's also the GM for Ticket Sales and Operations at Samford University, which is right up in Birmingham. It's close to Tuscaloosa here, and he is also a 2017 graduate of the University of Alabama's Sport Management Master's Program, which is what I'm in. I'm very proud of that program, and David, you're an amazing product of that program, so it's great to have you on this show.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm, like you said, blessed to be here. I value a lot of where I'm at now to the university, and it's something I'm truly grateful for. And it provided me all the way to where I'm at now to have opportunities like this with you. So
Absolutely, and you represent us very well. So
thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. With that said, I want to start with the first question. Let's build into that. How did your experience at the University of Alabama Sport Management Program help to build a foundation for your success in the sport industry that you experience now?
That is a great question. And to be honest with you, it completely shaped the core values and my foundation of where I'm at today. I kind of did the opposite of undergrad. Undergrad, I kind of played football and thought I was doing these things, didn't really network, didn't pour myself into the industry. So when I went back to school at Alabama, I dove in and I volunteered and I wanted to meet anybody and everybody, and the core curriculum was also very important. You're doing stuff based in real life experience, working with, I think, NASCAR when I was there, or the Olympic training facility, and doing these projects that are, one, fun to me because it's related to the industry, and two, is stuff that you're going to transfer over. And it's easy for Dr. Lewis or Dr. Wright to tell you that, and then it's funny when you get in the industry and you're doing something. And I remember the first time I was doing a project about a new facility, and I was like, I worked on this in my class. So I called up Dr. Lewis and let him know. I was like, hey, I just want to thank you. Like, the stuff that you're teaching me or taught me is stuff that we use now in real life. And I don't think sometimes in undergrad, when you're getting your basics, it's not quite the same. It doesn't relate as so things like that. And then also being just, the core values of being disciplined, time management, and making those connections, which is huge. And that's really all of that I value and kind of say I got that throughout my career, but mostly it started at the University of Alabama.
No, that's what I love about that curriculum. It develops us very well. It's real stuff. That's the best
Right.
way I can phrase it. It's real stuff. And I know what you're saying about some of those undergraduate projects where it's like you're doing it and you're just kind of putting a show on. You're not
Yeah.
taking it seriously because you're likely never going to experience it again, especially in like those lower level core curriculum classes
Yeah.
when majors that you're never going to experience anything with. But in that sport management program, you know that with some of those projects, there's things embedded that you're going to experience again. I know the exact facilities management process on project that you're talking about because I did that
Yeah.
last semester. The marketing audits that we had to do for
Yep.
Dr. Lewis's class.
Exactly.
There are a lot of components to that project that I know I'm going to experience again when it's talking about social media and
Yep.
metrics and an organization's approach to social media, corporate partnerships. you're gonna see all of that again. You know, this isn't playing around. Like
Yeah.
it's real stuff. So it almost I think that gets students more engaged because you got to understand how to do it because it's going to put you ahead at the end of the day, and
Yep.
you're going to see it again. There's just another level of engagement and preparation that comes from that.
No, you're completely right. And I kind of I hate to put this way, but I'm very transparent every time I come and speak. I feel like undergrad a lot of times, especially the lower, your basic, you're checking a box is the way I look at it. You're
Mhm.
checking the box, getting it done, and then it's kind of pushed away to the side. But what I loved about the sports management program is, like you said, you're living it. You're doing things that is going to make you better at the end of your time there. And I mean, it's not a one-off thing. It's still stuff that I use today, and I'm 7 years in the industry, and not just the core curriculum, but the people there. Dr. Lewis, there's been many things I consider him a mentor that he's taught me, and we've talked about in class scenarios and had discussions about getting the monkey off your back. I don't know if you've ever heard him say that, and those uh, type phrases and things that you kind of pick up and learn, and it sticks with you. It's not just all the book work and projects. It's really how to come out of there and represent the University of Alabama and be a professional, and hopefully represent the brand to the highest standard, which is what we want to do in all aspects. So
Oh, there's a great amount of pride in that program when it comes to that too, and it really is all about the people. I mean, I've never been in a major in a program where there's been a better foundation of people behind it and better people in my classes. It's really been an awesome experience so far for this past year, and building off of that, I want to highlight that you came and spoke to one of Dr. Lewis's classes last semester. We love
yep.
you. You're probably one of our favorite guest speakers that semester. We had a lot of good ones. You're up there. We
well
really enjoyed having you there
well, thank
and got a
you.
lot out of everything that you said because you were transparent. And one of the things that you were very transparent about was the time that you had to dress up as a mascot for Southern Illinois University when you were the coordinator of ticket operations there.
Yes.
Expand on that because
Well,
it sounds unorthodox, but you have to do that in sports sometimes.
yes. So, well, one, I'd like to say thank you for letting me come and speak. It is always something I think I get more out of it sometimes than the students do, because it's a way for me to give back. And one thing I've noticed is like you mentioned the word transparent, and that's what I love to really hone in on. I think a lot of people come and they speak and they tell you the shiny side of sports, and I like to be realistic. And my life path wasn't one direction; it was kind of a bit all over, but that's why I think it's easy for us to relate. So along that path, I went from an intern at the University of Arkansas in the ticket office to getting a job at Southern Illinois, the Salukis, which is the one and only in the nation. And it was my first, I say, big time job, big boy job. I was leading the sales for the athletic department, and I was there, maybe a week, and I was like, new title. I'm wearing a suit to the office. I'm like, I've done, wow, I'm here. I went from a 27-year-old intern to a position where the average age of the position is like 34. So I went from behind the game to head of the game. They had a incoming student fair, and they needed somebody to be Brown Dog, the mascot. And you know what it is? And when you work in athletics, I always say you got to be willing to do whatever you got to do. So I threw on that mascot suit middle of summer, and was out there for 3-4 hours going around, no talking, full mascot mode, high-fiving, taking pictures, trying to sell some tickets. And it's just an example of what we do in sports. Like I always say, and you've probably heard me say this in when I came and spoke to you, that there's not a job that's too big or too small for us, is the way I look at it. I'm just lucky to be in this industry and have a job. So, when you work in sports, especially minor league or smaller FCS schools, Division II, you're going to have to be asked to wear a lot of hats, and some things you may not enjoy doing, but it's for the betterment of the brand and the university. So, yes, I was at one point, I had a short-loaned 3-4 hour stint as the mascot of Southern Illinois, and it was a very humbling moment. But I mean that in the best way possible. It's like, hey, you get a new position, and you think you're on top of the world, and it's like you still got to grind it out just like you were a couple weeks ago when you were an intern. Nothing changes. The process is the same, as they like to say, especially in Alabama, right?
It's all about the process. It's all a process over
Yep.
outcome here. You know that, David.
Yep.
You spent a couple years here. You know that.
Oh yeah. So
And it's we all have egos. We all
yep.
have egos. I have one. You have one. Everybody has one. And I think that that's the unique but admirable thing about working in sports is that sometimes you got to suppress that ego and
Yep.
do what needs to be done to get the job done in an effective manner. If you have to be brown dog, you have to be brown dog. I'm sure you're
Yep.
a damn good brown dog too. But
Yeah. Well,
if that's if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do.
it's funny because just to expand on that a little bit more, even here in my current role, they see a lot of times they see my title, vice president of a company, which is great, especially at my age, general manager. And I get so many people that are surprised when I jump in and I'm scanning tickets at the game, busting my tail, doing what needs to get done because we want people in and have a great experience. And they see my name and they're like, "You're the one that I talked to that run." I was like, "Yeah, we're out here on the front lines as well too." Like it's not like you said in sports, there is almost this ego where you suppress it a lot of times because you're doing what's best for your university, your team, your teammates in the department you work with, whatever it is to get the job done. And like I said, there's no job too big or too small, whatever it is to win at the end of the day and get better, right?
And it's funny that you say that about you getting down and like with the people handing stuff out like that and being on that level, not being up in like a suite.
Right.
You're immersed with the people. I've seen that with my boss right now at Yale, Alabama, Jay McPhillips, one of the
Yeah.
best bosses I've had to this date. At Nick at Noon last semester, it's an event that we
Yeah.
do every Friday leading up to an SEC game. And yet Alabama hosted it this year. We sponsored the event, and he'd be with us putting the shakers and the programs on the table, decorating them. No task is too big or too small, and it's pretty
Exactly.
tedious too because there's a bunch of
Oh, I
tables
can
out there,
imagine.
but
Right.
he's out there with us interns, rolling up his sleeves and doing that. So and when you see somebody doing that, it inspires you. It makes you want to work 10 times harder for them. So
Yeah, I
it
mean, I
speaks
think
volumes.
it probably empowered you, right? It made you feel
Absolutely it
like,
did.
look, if he's doing that at that level, then I could definitely I should be doing more. And that's the way I look at it is too from a worker standpoint. Like I have a good relationship with we have rely heavily on student workers, and I want them to feel empowered and like they're important. They're not just there scanning tickets or doing the minuscule. I'm there with them and like, hey, I'm here to support you, and I want you to feel like you're a part of this too, especially in our great basketball season we're having. I want everybody to feel that. But it's also for our fans. I want people to know that, hey, if you have a problem or you have an issue, customer service, or you just want to talk about fandom, I'm here for that as well too. I want to be the face. Uh Again, suppressing that ego, not as an ego thing, but as a support and a connection and building relationships and know that whether you're a fan or a worker and you're here surrounding, I want to make it better for everybody. There's always that saying when you leave a place better than you found it. And that's really what I'm trying to do here is really do that and build kind of a legacy. And hopefully when I leave Samford, hopefully in the long future, it is better than I when I got here. So
Absolutely, and that's all principle. Leaving something better than you found. I mean that's something that you're taught when you're young, and you try to exemplify as much as you possibly can throughout your life.
yep.
The next question. This one is always an interesting conversation. Sports.
Yeah.
What when you first entered the industry,
Yep.
was there a specific place or region that you wanted to live, or did you just want to chase opportunity and let that navigate where you live to start off?
Yep. I don't know how others have answered it. So that this is going to be a completely my own take here. I was willing to go anywhere and everywhere.
Hmm.
I was so hungry for the chance. Like when I tell you that my time at Alabama, like I felt like I was ready. I mean, Alabama is a love of mine. I was like, if there was an opportunity there, I would have stayed like that. But I was so ready to just go. And that's why I think I mentioned in our class, and we were talking earlier, is University of Arkansas, before I'd even got a chance to walk for graduation, the University of Arkansas gave me an opportunity as an intern. Nothing fancy, $10 an hour, being 27. But you know what? I jumped on it. I loaded my car, and I was there within a couple weeks, ready to go. And everywhere since then, I mean, I was 8 months at Arkansas, kind of ran out of intern hours, and they wanted me to stay because, hey, $10 an hour doing great things running sports is easy money for them, right? But I got the opportunity at Illinois, and it kind of rose about. Somebody put in a good word, and I got it, and I kind of jumped there. And then a couple years later, jumped to Georgia at Georgia Tech, and then luckily had this opportunity come back home to Samford and be close enough to come make visits to Alabama and give back. So for me in my industry, I rely heavily, or in my career path in the industry, it was heavily on getting the next step to where I needed to be. To enjoy the moment, of course, which I think is important and tough for us a lot of the times. But also when you get to that point where you start feeling comfortable, and that's when I like to make myself uncomfortable. And that's what really led me to take the next spot. And it didn't matter where it was. I kind of leaned heavy on my mentors and my family, and it's like, hey, I think this is the right next step for my career. No matter where it is, let me jump ship, so to say, and take it. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense.
No,
To
it does. It definitely does. And I like what you said there about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. When the comfort starts to sit in, sometimes you get complacent,
Yeah,
and that can affect your performance too. So when you feel that trickling in, sometimes you just want to shake it up, roll the dice,
yeah,
and see what opportunities next.
yeah, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, I felt like I was lucky enough. I got in the industry. I moved up very quickly, so I was still learning and everything's still exciting. But then you kind of probably know this as well. You get to a point where you feel like, man, I'm really good at this. It's not boring, but it's kind of, it starts to get a little bit stale, right, in your work, and you feel like you could do more. And so that's when I feel like I hit that ceiling, and I don't know what it is exactly I'm looking for, but I'm gonna start looking for opportunities, and that's why networking is so important. Usually around that time, something always pops up, right? Something pops up, and you're like, maybe this is that sign for me to step out of my comfort zone and continue to grow. And luckily everywhere I've been, I've get to that, and it's been the right time for me to make that step. And it's not always the easiest. It's not as simple as, hey, it's time for me to go. It may take a week, it may take a couple of months, but you work through the process, and that's uncomfortable too, trying to figure out, should I stay here and be really good at what I'm doing, or should I go somewhere else and try to plant new seeds and make that place better and grow myself as well too. So
Yeah, there's always like there's that internal feeling. I guess
yeah,
there's that tug of, I've kind of felt that when changing internships. Like, I think I've gotten everything out of this that I possibly can,
yep,
and I think it's time to start seeking something new.
yeah.
And who knows? And you may land upon an opportunity and stay there for 4 or 5 years, and you're like, oh, this one may be it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's all just that fit, though, I feel
yeah.
like.
It is. I think we all have kind of an internal clock, right? So
Mm.
like we have that intuition. So like you said, I'm sure it was uncomfortable for you trying to switch that. Um, but in the end, I feel like we always end up where we're supposed to be, even if it's not for a long time. Like I said, my time at Arkansas was 8 months. It's so funny because my boss at the time, who I've stayed connected with, he works at FIVO, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, Aaron Paris, and he actually came and spoke on a company call, and he gave me a shout out, and I told him, hey, just 7 years ago he gave me an opportunity, and now he's on a call. We're considered colleagues. So it's things like, if you don't lean into those, I always like to say that, and I'm sure Dr. Lewis, you've heard him say it, lean into those opportunities. That's where the magic happens, as I like to say. We do things here, especially with my staff. I was like, let's kind of shake the box a little bit. Let's push it, because outside of that comfort zone is growth, and that's what we want to do here. Is we want to make the university better, and along the way we want to get better as well too, and that's how we grow as a person in our personal life and our development of our career and our work and all that. So
Yeah, and when you have that mentality, that's when growth happens, and you almost
Yeah,
become addicted to it.
yeah,
If you're not experiencing it, you get frazzled.
yeah,
It just becomes part of you after a while.
yeah. You're right,
So
100%.
I've got two more questions
Okay,
with
awesome.
you
Hit
here,
me.
and I want to be mindful of your time here. So
Hey,
I got two
I
more
am
here.
all yours, so you just let me know what you got.
I appreciate that too. I really do. So we're having a conversation off camera
Yep.
about fan experience,
Yes.
and from working around it, I want to say what's the difference between fan experience and opponent experience?
We had a nice small conversation because we wanted to keep it for the camera.
Yeah,
But I think personally it should be completely different. I know that we both said there's some places where it's like that, and there's some where it's almost synonymous. I think for me and my role, fan experience wants to be the best possible. We want it easy to get tickets. We want it easy to get in the building. We want it to be electric. We want it here at Samford. We want it to be family friendly, affordable. We want all that. We want students to pack it out. Just the whole 9 yards. Now, from an opponent standpoint, which I think you had mentioned, you saw a clip from when we beat Furman at the buzzer. We want that place rocking. We want them students right there, heckling respectfully the team. We want it where when teams come here, they don't want to play us, right? Because we have a smaller gym to a certain degree. We have about 3,000 in the lower bowl, and I mean, in a good student day, we have anywhere from up to 1,000 students, which is almost half of our stadium. So you get that, like you saw in that clip at the Furman game, and them all yelling and going crazy. It is tough for teams to come in here, especially at this level. Um, and it also that adds to the fan experience too, right? Like the kids and the family and everybody feed off of that, and they're all. And so I think it's hand in hand. Um, but man, nothing beats packing the Pete, like we say here at Samford, and making it rowdy and all that. And then that's what we want to do. Like our job is to serve the customer, but also, I mean, there's a reason we're 16-0 at home now and undefeated because fans make a difference. And I think that's one thing our team and Bucky McMillan says is like, hey, our environment is one of the best in the country. And that's why if you saw, I think several people have us this weekend as the best in the basketball environment in the state of Alabama this weekend. It's because of something like that. And it's cool to be Samford, a smaller school, and being seen like that. So that's kind of my take on it. I'm interested to hear what you think on it.
well, yeah, I thought I think that the fan experience should be pleasant, should be
Yes.
warm, we should be embraced. Fantastic food at the concessions,
Yep.
comfortable seats, great hospitality. We're no stranger to that here in the South. We specialize in
Exactly. Right.
hospitality. And I really appreciate that. But for the opposing team, it should be absolute hell. They should be in an awful locker room.
Yep.
It should be loud. Fans, students should be yelling at them. And if it should be close, it should be intimate.
Yep.
And that's why some of the worst places to play from the opponent standpoint in college basketball are, Duke and Auburn and
Yep.
Samford,
Yep.
because they're right on top of you.
Yep.
You see with the Cameron Crazies, they're like this. I grew up a
Yeah.
Duke fan, and I still am for basketball.
Yeah.
That's what makes Cameron Indoor so special. Nobody wants to go there to play it. Going to Auburn is
Oh
deafening.
gosh.
That
Right.
that's why they're dominant here. And I think here at Coleman Coliseum, we're starting to embody
We've been
that even
there.
more. I don't think we
Yeah.
had it for years, but under Nate Oates' leadership now, I think that you're really starting to
Yeah.
see that take place. And of course, like we've got great people in place when it comes to athletics marketing and fan experience. So
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure to meet some of them, and I think that contributes to that as well. But when you can get that fan experience down pat to be hospitable for your fans, but then atrocious for the opponents,
Yep.
that's what it's all about. And
No, you hit it on the nail on the head. And what I like to say, you mentioned our marketing team, Katie Archer, and our comms team do a great job and really unique stuff. I mean, we gave out custom shoes and Nikes, and we've done T-shirts, neon night, and all kind of stuff. And I think also too, I just want to clarify, like, hey, we make it hospitable for the visiting team fans as well too. Like the fan experience, we don't delineate. It's a holistic view. And but man, nothing beats when you know a team, especially in an interview, and you see their coach or their players say, it's tough going into Samford
yeah,
every day. It's tough going into Homewood or Tuscaloosa and trying to get a win. And that's just not just the team. It kind of reflects one, the fan base, which makes them feel a part of it. And it also reflects what we do as a in-game getting people to there, and then what we do in-game environment as well too. So it's kind of a like when we get those wins, it feels like a win for everybody, right? Like I feel like I had something to do with that, our marketing, our fan base. And that's why we say, hey, you're a game changer. It may only be 1 point, but hey, you saw Furman game, we won right there, 2 points at the buzzer. They made a difference because we caused a turnover right there before all that. So I think that sweet spot is what we're looking for. We want to be Southern hospitality, all the good stuff, but then man, I want those teams when they leave here to feel like they had been through a war.
yeah, and we're all a team. I mean that I think that's what's great about sports too is that the the fans, the staff, people in marketing, people in operations,
Yep.
guest services, everything. It's all a team.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything else. I don't think there's any other industry out
No.
there that's quite like that. Now,
Yeah.
I do have one more question I want to ask you
Okay.
before we end here.
Yeah.
Ticket sales.
Yes.
How important is persistence in ticket sales?
Key. You're gonna hear no many times. I think it's 80% of individuals in sales make 20% of individuals in sales make 80% of all sales, because you don't usually get a yes until about the fifth ask. So it is very unique and interesting kind of statistic. So I think you have to be uncomfortable, right? Like we said earlier, and be able to take no and be persistent. Like that's one thing that makes sports, another reason why it makes it so incredible is that you have to continuously have that drive, that work ethic, and work hard and be a team player and know that, hey, not every day is going to be a yes day. You're going to hear a lot of no's, but you got to be persistent in that, because eventually you're going to get a yes. And it's kind of a snowball effect, right? You start getting those, you start building your confidence, and then you're fine being uncomfortable. You're fine with the no's because you stay true to the process, and you're going to get that yes eventually. So,
Yeah, at the end of the day, we all love validation and
yep,
we hate rejection. And it relates back to what you were saying earlier with being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and nobody wants to get told no. It always knocks the ego and the pride down a little bit. But when you start to feel it more, you get
yep,
weathered to it, and that confidence builds. And so the yeses always they always snowball, like you said, and it leads to traction. So
yep,
and we start to feel that traction, that's when it becomes rewarding.
yep. No, I agree 100%. I apologize. Let's go get some tickets printing right now. Never stops in the ticket office, right?
It never ends. The operations like that are in your title, the operations, they never end.
Yep.
Well, thank
No.
you for having me on, David. I really appreciate it so much. You gave us so much great insight about your position, your experience at Alabama Sport Management Program, and how to succeed in the sports industry.
Yeah.
And he gave us some good humor and insight along the
Yeah,
way. So
well,
thank you
I
so much
always
for
like to
that.
be transparent, and this is fun. I think that's one thing that's lost in sometimes in it. Like it is fun what we do, and I just appreciate what you're doing, giving people a spotlight, and also giving others that are interested a different viewpoint. So anything I can do to ever help, you just let me know. I know that I've been sharing your stuff out, and people are really interested and want to see you continue to grow this. So you're doing something that people are catching on to and enjoy. So keep it up, man.
Well, and thank you for sharing it around. I really do appreciate it. Going back to traction, that's the more traction you can get on something, the better. So, and we're all in this together. So,
Yep.
I'm happy to share your story on here, and thank you for spreading the word about the interview series. That's awesome.
Yep. All right, man. Well, you take it easy and we'll talk soon.
Yes, yes. Thank you, David. Have a great day. I appreciate it very much.
All right. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you and the time that you took out of your day to watch the video. And if you enjoyed it, please be sure to like the video and share it, as well as subscribe to the Era. The more likes and subscribers I get on this channel, the more resources I can attain, and the more resources I can attain, the more value I can provide to you, the viewer. And that is how I show my appreciation for you for the time that you devote to watching my videos. So thank you so much, and have a great day.